this was the first week of the Gullah Geechee Appreciation Week?
No, Hunter Children ain't been. No, but this year been 7 years of celebrating Gullah Geechee Nation Appreciation Week right here in Charleston County and things like that. Gullah Geechee Nation Appreciation Week first started in 2012, so this is our 7th annual celebration of the week.
Okay, and how would you say this week has turned out so far?
We had an outstanding Gullah Geechee Nation Appreciation Week. It has been the most supported week since the celebration began. So when we launched from Mosquito Beach last Saturday and things like that, all the way through today, where we're here in North Charleston at Scotts Grand celebrating and honoring 400 years of history, it has been a powerful week, and there have been a lot of people participating, especially the one with Binya and things like that.
Okay, and how is this week compared to this year compared to other years that you've celebrated?
This year we've had a plethora of events that went throughout the Gullah Geechee Nation, where in the previous years we've had a lot of things just in Beaufort County or Charleston County, but this year, even down in Ridgeland, South Carolina, we had an event, and we're already geared up for next year where we'll be on Georgia coast as well. So we've had a number of things, and we also had a new county participate. So Williamsburg County, South Carolina, also started celebrating Gullah Geechee Nation Appreciation Week for the first time.
All right, and do you have any plans for next year?
Next year, we will be back in Charleston with the Gullah Geechee Nation International Music and Movement Festival, right here and thing like that. So we geared up for that. But we will launch Gullah Geechee Nation Appreciation Week the last Saturday in July on Jekyll Island in Georgia next year, and it will be Gullah Geechee Family Weekend. It won't just be Gullah Geechee Family Day. So we got plenty of things on the way.
All right, and what has stood out to you this year the most from this whole week?
What stood out for me the most this year were the amount of social media comments we got from people who attended our events, as well as people who've been sharing the links to the GullahGeecheeNation.com site, Gullah Geechee TV, the number of people internationally who are now commenting saying, well, does this happen every year? Because I want to be there next year. Well, we don't want them for beat the one with there and thing like that. We need the one with been here for be there when the other rest of people come in for see who we beat. So we want the people who live here get there before the guests come, because they are coming.
Okay, is there anybody that traveled from a long way in the U.S. or internationally that came here for Gullah Geechee Week?
Oh yes, for Gullah Geechee Nation Appreciation Week, we had people travel as far away as New York and Virginia to come to the launch day. We also had different international travelers from Europe that came because they heard about the celebration once they were heading this way, and they wanted to learn who we are, so who we be down here and things like that. So it has been a blessing. And then we had a letter come from U.S. Congress because we had the majority whip, James E. Clyburn, even send a letter for our guests this year for the first time. So that was also very powerful for everyone who traveled in to hear.
Okay, and the people that traveled in, what did they take away from this week?
We pray that everybody, whether they were natives here, whether they were local or tourists, took away who we truly are and things like that they get it from we who we be for true, and we be Gullah Geechee anointed people. A lot of people come to this area and say they want to learn about Gullah Geechee culture, but they hear a lot of interpretations by other people other than us. So we hope everybody that participated this week learned truly who we are.
All right, is there anything else you'd like to add?
We just will say thank you to all the Gullah Geechee family, and just because the week to end, you know we don't end. We culture grind on and on and on, because we be Gullah Geechee anointed people.
Now, most of you know that as we are climbing Jacob's ladder, one of the old Negro spirituals. And the issue of climbing is one of great importance, because you climb because you see something at the top that you find that's easy to attain. If you don't feel that there's anything up there to reach for, you do not climb. And that's what I'm here to talk to you about this afternoon. Many of you know a great elder within our community, the great Mr. James Campbell, who is in his 90s and who was involved with Malcolm X's Organization of African American Unity back in the 60s. And he told me something around the time that President Obama was running for president, and there were many of us who were going around saying things like, man, who that spook think he is? Man, you know he can't be president, blah, 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 and so forth. And I discussed this with Mr. Campbell, and the wise elder told me, Damon, as a people, many of us live in what he referred to as a culture of despair. And I had to give a lot of deep thought to that. And that's what I'm here to talk to you about right now. And this is one of the things that has to be ditched in order for us to be successful in the future. So we're here celebrating 400 years. That's true. But there's a little bit of background to that a lot of people don't know. Now, the 400 years marks the first known permanent settlement of us when we were brought to Jamestown, Virginia on August the 20th, 1619 on the ships the White Lion and the Treasurer, okay? And was recorded by John Rolfe, the husband of Pocahontas. That we get. But what most people don't know was that nearly 100 years before that, in 1526, near Georgetown, San Miguel, Guadalupe, the settlement under Juan Luis Vasquez de Ayllon, the Spanish. That was also the first known slave rebellion in America, where the Africans revolted against Juan Luis Vasquez de Ayllon. And they were successful in that rebellion and went in to live with the native people and basically had children with them, etc. and so forth. That's one of the untold stories about that. Now, often we tend to think that people in slavery were almost 100% ignorant and illiterate. I was on a Facebook discussion this morning where people were saying that they couldn't record their histories because they were all ignorant and illiterate. No, 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 no. Many do not know of people such as Omar bin Said, the African prince who was brought here, who knew Arabic and wrote in Arabic. And once they realized that, he was sent back to his country and set free. There's records of this in the Library of Congress, if you don't believe me. But see, these are the things that you don't know from just television or the internet. You got to read real books with real footnotes and real information. And it wasn't just him either. There was the great poetess Phyllis Wheatley, brought here in slavery, who was educated, who communicated, in fact, with George Washington, who invited her to recite his poetry, her poetry at Valley Forge back in 1776. There was also our next door neighbor up in North Carolina, George Moses Horton, the enslaved poet who wrote a book called The Love of Liberty back in 1829. And along with that, of course, here in Charleston, we had Bishop Daniel Alexander Payne. Never heard of him? Here's the story. During right after the Denmark-Vesey Rebellion, the city made it illegal for those of African descent to read and write. Bishop Daniel Alexander Payne had a school on 125 Trad Street for free and enslaved children. And the city forced him to shut that down. Why? Because Denmark-Vesey used Revelation 13:10. He that leadeth into captivity shall be led into captivity. And Exodus 21:16. He that stealeth a man and selleth him shall be put to death. As well as the story of the Haitian Revolution, in which, in case you didn't know, Boukman, Dessalines, and Toussaint Louverture led the African people of Haiti to defeat the most powerful emperor of that time, Napoleon Bonaparte himself, to make Haiti the first free black republic in the New World. But back to Bishop Daniel Alexander Payne. So the city shut him down. But did he say, they shut down my school? Well, I guess that's it. I can't do nothing else. The man ain't gonna let me have a school. No, he didn't do that. He went to Wilberforce, Ohio, where he helped form Wilberforce University, which was the first black university that was run top to bottom by African Americans. And one of his students was the Reverend Richard Harvey King, who after the Confederates surrendered, came down to Charleston, and he took the Hempstead AME Church, which was Denmark Vesey's church, and reformed it by building a new land on 110 Calhoun Street, and he named it the mother of the new black churches in Charleston, and after the Hebrew word for God is with us, Emmanuel. That's how Mother Emanuel started. And he didn't stop there. He went over near Somerville and formed a free black community that was named Lincolnville for obvious reasons. Now, you also had women such as Harriet Jacobs, who wrote Incidents in the Life of a Slave Girl, Susie King Taylor, who was a nurse with the Union Army, along with, of course, the great Harriet Tubman, who not only led people into freedom, but helped the Union Army defeat the Confederates down by the Combahee Swamp, not too far from Beaufort. Okay? Now, I notice over here there's a picture of Black Wall Street. Many of you have probably heard the story of the Tulsa Massacre. But here's the part that many of you probably don't know. I've read a lot of first-hand accounts about the Tulsa Massacre, beyond the stuff that you get on social media and in some of these so-called documentaries. Now, what most people don't know was this. Yes, they burned down the community of Black Wall Street, but there were men in Tulsa, such as Pegleg Taylor and Obie Mann, who led regiments of black World War I veterans to fight off the attackers of the Deep Greenwood community of Black Wall Street. There was also the lawyer by the name of Buck Franklin. Buck Franklin was an African-American lawyer who helped save the African-Americans of Tulsa. He was the one who stayed in court to keep the community of the people of Tulsa from taking the burned land of the African Americans and seeing to it that they would be able to return to rebuild that community. Buck Franklin, by the way, was the father of the grand historian John Hope Franklin, I might add. And I happened to meet the great man about 20 years ago, and we discussed this matter, certainly not too long before he passed. Now, not only did you have all that going on, but these narratives of Tulsa almost always leave out the fact that those people went back to Deep Greenwood and rebuilt Black Wall Street. And in 1926, in the Crisis magazine, the great Dr. W.E.B. Du Bois went to Tulsa, and he saw how the people rebuilt the banks, rebuilt the theaters, rebuilt the homes, rebuilt the businesses, and said, "Tulsa, I bow my head to you." These are the narratives that you need to know. Because you see, so often, when we go on social media, we see these narratives of defeat and despair. And oh, one other thing before I forget regarding the issue of slavery. Many people say that we never had any victories as far as slave rebellions. But many people do not know about Madison, Washington, and the Creole Rebellion of 1841. This is where Madison, Washington was a free man who was captured in Virginia in 1841 on the ship Creole. And they were going to send him and the fellow captives down to be sold in New Orleans. But these were Americans. They understood English, and Madison knew something about ships. So they overtook the crew, killed a lot of the crew, and sailed the boat into the West Indies, which was free since 1834. And so not only did they defeat the crew, they sailed the ship into the West Indies and lived the rest of their lives in freedom. And Frederick Douglass wrote about all this in his newspaper in a story called The Heroic Slave that fully documented these events. But again, in order to know these things, you have to read. And what do you have to read? Like what these people have here? Books. Real books.
Right, in case you never
Not just Facebook, but real books, okay? And this is all so important because not only do they get the negativity of the mass media, our young people, but so many people's psyche were ruined because of the tragic experiences of the Jim Crow era. As Martin Luther King himself said in a sermon in June the 23rd, 1963 in Detroit, Michigan, that using the language of that time, many Negroes lost faith in themselves and began to believe that they were inferior. And Malcolm X himself said in this chapter Saved in his autobiography that many black children before they could talk saw that their parents considered themselves inferior. Think of the kind of things we say in front of our children about how, well, I went to a black business once and man, I ain't going back to no more black businesses again. Wow. Talking about how lazy we are, how we always late, how we can't stick together for nothing. Hold up. Now, if you say that we can't stick together for anything and are always fighting each other, think about this. World War I, World War II, Korean War, Vietnam War, Iraq War. Did we start that? No. Hello. So if you talk about disunity, that is not a black problem. That is a human problem. Because you have to begin to think globally in order to put all this in perspective. So we should take occasions like this to educate ourselves beyond what we are told within communities, beyond what we get on social media and things like that. Because if we do that, we will be like Ray Charles leading an army of Stevie Wonders down the street. And if the blind leadeth the blind, they falleth into a ditch. So Dr. King warned us in the parts of the dream speech that you don't often hear broadcast on King Day, that we must not drink from the cup of bitterness and wallow in the valley of despair. And Malcolm agreed with him on that because he said that basically the overall message of celebrations like this, you can never do anything if you think you never did anything. So let us learn both sides of the story. Let us look at it globally, beyond your communities, beyond what you were told. Go, read, learn, study for yourself. And then you can climb Jacob's ladder to whatever destination that you wish. Thank you and have a good day.
I just want to add to what Dr. Porter said in terms of the uprising that took place right up the road and things like that, the PD River region. And I just wanted people to realize that this year, you're not just here celebrating 400 years of the past. We're talking about this present moment, where Williamsburg County, South Kakalaki, just gave me a proclamation 2 weeks ago and acknowledged that uprising in that proclamation for the first time in our story and his story. That was acknowledged by the county itself. So I know a lot of people have watched that on Gullah GGTV and are probably stunned and amazed. Even our family that's here from Williamsburg County, all right? They were elated because they said, well, we never heard this. Right, you see what I'm saying? Because it's never taught in his storybook. It's never taught that our ancestors were here prior to 1670. Yeah. Most of what we hear in this region is about the Barbadian planters brought the enslaved people and founded Charlestown and go from there. As if that was the beginning and end of Africans. And so we have to realize as African people, the stories of our survival depend upon us reading, acknowledging, accepting, ingesting those stories of freedom and then transferring those to our progeny, to the children. What the children must know, you must teach them. But you can't teach that which you don't know. If your children never see you pick up even a Bible, but you always talk about going to church, how long do you think that's going to last? You have to ingest it. That's why they say be partakers of the first fruit. If you never pick up a book to take it in, you're not partaking. Okay? So your children won't either. And you can't get mad when they flunk out of school. That's right. But you're supposed to read in school. What they never read, they never see you do it. And we're talking about physically sitting down with one of these that opens like this. We're not talking about a digital version on your iPad or your phone. I'm done with people telling me that mess about you in church reading the Bible on your phone. No, you're not. You on there doing Facebook, you on there doing Instagram, you on there texting somebody you ain't got no business talking to because it's not Jesus. Okay, so you need to turn the device off. I'm a computer scientist, by the way. So let's be very clear. I'm not anti-science. I'm a computer scientist and mathematician by degrees, graduated with honors, and I'm telling you, we program those to program you. And y'all have accepted the poison. All right? Drinking it willingly. Drinking the Kool-Aid. All right? Meanwhile, other folks reading these. And they're now selling them, talking about detailing our story to us. But it's their interpretation of our journey that usually is to the exclusion of the freedom stories that you heard Dr. Fordham just express here now. Because if we don't tell it to you, you won't know it, you can't pass it down. But even the scriptures say, study to show thyself approved. And say, go look up now what Dr. Fordham and Queen Quet said, then get on Twitter and try to critique what they just said. It doesn't say that. It says, study to show thyself approved. We read all the time. We're quite literate. We dispel the myth that black people don't read, that black people don't write, and that black people aren't unified. We've had Gullah Geechee Nation Appreciation Week for 7 years straight, and it continues to multiply the numbers of people that come together to celebrate it, the numbers of people that economically celebrate it. And so therefore, that's already a myth, that black people don't stick together, depending on which black people it is.
That's true.
We've had events here before, and many of the faces in this room, you were here when we had events here before. I expect when we say it's another one, you'll be right back here again. So even if it's only the remnant, that's all it takes to continue the process. When my mother and I make quilts by hand, we don't start with all the pieces put together. You take remnants of different things, and then you stitch them together, and it becomes the whole. So you don't worry about what other people do, and you worry about what you do. But if we're not hearing the words said, and then adhering to those words, we've done nothing today but come in and eat and look at each other. You could have stayed home. So if you don't do nothing else for us to end Gullah Geechee Nation Appreciation Week, our whole theme has been healing the land and pulling upon the culture. But you can't hold upon something and you ain't supposed to know if it's in your hand or not. So I tell you, hold upon something, you ain't know if you got it. So we have to teach so that folks can go back out and they say, well, if one to know better, what happened?
Do better.
Do better. That's what you're supposed to do, ain't it? So there's no way that you sit and you hear our story presented the way it is and you leave the same. You ain't leaving the same. Because it already went into your psyche, whether you realize it or not. The same way all the negatives went in, that positive went in, but now it's up to you to water that seed. So being in this space that Sister Regina runs all year long, this is called the Destiny Cafe. That is a powerful thing. To know what your destiny is. Especially 400 years after all the brutality that Africans have suffered in North America. Because many of us think we were destined to be enslaved or something. Because you drank that Kool-Aid. But your destiny beyond this point should be of greatness. If you never thought it before today, we're giving you something to go home with. Your destiny is to realize that Honabi Gullah Geechee anointed people. That the word Gullah itself means people blessed by God. Now anybody don't want your blessing, please leave them here. I do have space on the table. Leave all the blessings up here that you don't want. Because I'll take them all. For years they taught us that to be Gullah Geechee was ignorant and backward. And that you don't want to be that. Meanwhile, the reality was, they knew we were black gold because they wrote it, didn't they? Dr. Moore, you seen it just like I seen it, right? Black gold. Nobody called nothing gold if it's not rich.
And they wouldn't take something that was worthless.
Come on now, sir. They talk about how much rice went out by the ton, how many tons of African bodies did they import. All right? They don't take nothing that's worthless. So we shouldn't think we're worthless. We need to know we're rich. We need to know we're black gold. We need to know we're anointed by God, because only anointed people could withstand all all the propaganda that has been put out against us and is being done right now today. So what the ad say? If you want to hide something from a black person, where did they tell you put it at? And where did he tell you that you need to go in? All right, so he done told you where the treasure chest is. That's another open book test like the Bible. It says, I place before you life and death. Choose life. That's an open book test. And people failing it right now. So I'm just letting you know. I ain't come 2 hours up this road and up the creek for nothing. I ain't come up here dry, long soul. I have had a very hectic entire year, much less the last 9 days, and this being the 10th in this celebration of Gullah Geechee Nation Appreciation Week. But it's the power and the glory of looking at my people who are unified, who do know our story, who do fight for that daily, that keeps me going. That I know that my living is not in vain. So when Sister Regina reached out to me months ago and said, Queen Quet, we want to have an event and we want to honor our story. Will you be available? I said, what are you talking about? Because my calendar is quite booked. She said, this I know. So I said, let's do this during this week, a celebration of what we done down here. She said, whatever date you give us, that is the day we want to be. And the date is here. And so it's a blessing to see so many different faces from so many places. St. Helens Island, Charleston, Williamsburg County. I just see a whole bunch of folks, Nee Smith. I see y'all in the building. And I appreciate you. I know who you are, Milton, Ed Stowe. I see all y'all. Wine glass, all in churning. Neck, I see all in churning. Why do I know their names? Why do I know their areas? Because they're always out there in the field, getting the work. Like our ancestors said, stay in the field. Oh, stay in the field. Stay in the field until the war is ended. And Dr. Fordham and Dr. O and them probably would have grouped me the war over. War for freedom. And see, Brother Carmen said, So our ancestors left us that message, that coded message for a reason. Rightfully so. And dry long song. But again, if one ain't know that song, you think on ain't fussing home, get to tell them on that trying for both. So the code is there, you don't know the code, you'll be right there bothered and we'll be gone. So that's why it's so significant and so important to have events like this. So Sister Regina, we appreciate you for having this. We appreciate you for having a space called Destiny's Cafe so that people will fulfill their destiny. And we appreciate it. And many of you, during the week, if you're ever in the area, come by. It's a pay what you can cafe. You ain't finding that everywhere. So that means anybody should be hungry. It is good food. You pay what you can. So that ain't mean say if you got $1,000 in your pocket, you put $1 in the box. Because you know you can't pay more than that. And y'all will go to that bucker place and pay $100. And don't blink. Alright? So but if you come in here and ain't got but $2, and you say I can throw $1 in, that way you put it. If you got 1,000, you put 100 in for the plate, that we got. That's why the place can still be. God willing, she'll be here next year and we'll have our festival here. But we only can guarantee she's going to be here by us continuing to support every day, not just 2 days. So I truly appreciate you, Sister Regina, for inviting us here to have this closing of Gullah Geechee Nation Appreciation Week. For healthy, chilling, no boy, for Highland, for having food, 100 to serve it, for now, for that thing like that. And then, for that on stand, say, with all these food ways and things like that, and part of the culture, 100 to hold on to. So thank you, y'all. Peace and blessings. Love y'all. Thank y'all for coming.
I just heard you say we need to all get together. When are we gonna all get together?
When
What's
we
gonna
understand we
together?
can.
When is that gonna happen?
When we understand that we can.
Right, thank you, sir.
You think we know that, Queen Quet? We understand that yet?
I got a whole bunch of other things I would say when you finish saying what you gonna say, because it's an understanding I got that folks don't have of it.
So here we go again, guys.
Own
So I think maybe what you did, Regina, more than what you thought, just getting us together to celebrate an experience, I think you might have gotten us together to make us start thinking we got to get together.
it. Yeah, there you go. That's it.
So,
But Dr. Fordham said a little while ago, first of all, many of y'all who were here early probably saw me when I took a picture by the Black Wall Street poster. There were Black Wall Streets throughout the U.S. It wasn't only the one in Tulsa. Wherever we had our businesses, that was considered our Black Wall Street because that was the place of our economic power. We still have that. It's a matter of where you choose to spend your money. Power is in ownership. It's not in somebody else's stuff they put there for you temporarily. The reason it's called projects, they told us this when I was in school on St. Helena Island. Projects were built the way that they were because they were a test to see what would happen in terms of your level of sanity if you live in that close of proximity to large groups of people. They were literally a project. They found that a lot of people ended up with mental illness and violence because they stacked them like that. That's why now when they tear them down, they don't build them multi-story. They build them only two-story or one in separated housing, not adjoined and all that now, because they're trying to dispel what happened with the first test. The point is those things were supposed to be temporary. They weren't for you to raise generations of people in them because you didn't own anything. You can't build wealth by living in somebody else's house. That's why you tell your children, go get a job, make your own income. They need to build wealth of their own, so they got to get out. So that's the point. So a lot of times when we're talking, we're not talking the way my ancestors talked. We're not doing what they did. In 1862, why Big Shoot been going on until in the they were calling it the Civil War. When it was going on, our ancestors purchased land. It wasn't given to us. They purchased it at auctions. There are some of us in this room today, we own our land outright, meaning you don't have a mortgage because a mortgage is not your ownership. The bank owns it. So until we start speaking into existence that which we intend to have, we won't have it. We keep on talking. Dr. Fordham just got to talking about getting you out of the despair mentality. So I don't want us ending on a note of that. I want you to know I'm standing here as a living example of land ownership outright. My mother is sitting here, land ownership outright. Elder Carleytown owns land outright. No mortgage on them. The Williams family, outright ownership, owned for multi-generations. That's how you build the wealth on top of the black gold wealth that God already gave you.
Amen.
So what we gonna do, what you gonna do, I'm already doing what I'm doing. Hold on to your land. If you don't have none, get it. And yeah, you can do without one more pair of sneakers. You can do without one more jewelry. You can do without one more trip to the poison lab that we go eat snacks. To put all that money away in the mason jar like we elders and things been to do back yonder till you get that piece of land. And there's plenty of it out here, but God ain't making more, I was told. So that's what we do. And that way, you control what happens in the political arena that you live in, as opposed to people moving in with their ideas and ideals and mores from elsewhere and then zoning it and districting it and telling you what you're going to do on it. I wish somebody come on St. Helena Island and tell me what to do. Even the police know when you go over there, tread lightly because that island mostly Gullah Geechee, so don't talk crazy to them people. They are told that before they come across there. The Marines, I can look across the Paris Island from St. Helena Island, they're told the same thing. Don't go over there now, don't fool up with them Gullah Geechees over there. We weren't raised to take nothing from somebody else. I think James Brown, my first cousin, I don't want nobody to give me nothing. Open up the door. I get it myself. Now, until we start getting it ourselves, our children won't see us get it, so they think everybody key or something. Key this, key that. They told us as children, key for horse.
That's right.
You work to get what you want. Your ancestors work, you work. That's what you got to do. And until you're ready to do that, there's no conversation to have. Because even reading is work. Implementing what you read is work. Knowledge is not power. It is the implementation of knowledge that brings power.
That's right.
And you will have what you say. When I went to Black Wall Street over 25 years ago, I met the people. And what had they done? They had rebuilt it. I spoke to them 2 months ago now. They said, it's so glad to finally catch up to you again. We remember when you visited us. I said, how are things going? And they start letting me know about the hearings that's going on currently and everything. They're still trying to get their reparations for all the deaths that happened from bombing their block. But I said, but are the stores still there? How Mr. So-and-so barbecue spot? How this and that? They said, well, so-and-so going, but this is still here. We got this now. We're doing this. I live this story. It ain't just about books. I write the books out of the journeys I've taken. Brother King Divine, I saw you raise your hand. I know you wanted to say something. Come on over here. He brought me a whole basket full of fresh things grown on the land that they own. When I talked earlier about the Petey River region and Williamsburg County, this young brother right here, he used social media to our benefit. He watched all those videos of me and all these other counties receiving these proclamations and didn't write to me. He tagged the chair of the county council in Williamsburg and said, how can we get Gullah Geechee Nation Appreciation Week celebrated here? That's how I knew, because I got tagged when he wrote the word Gullah Geechee. Next thing I know, she said, all you got to do is tell us what to do. And they put it on their agenda, and here it is. We're in celebration. It takes action. Live out your words. Do the work. My brother.
Peace and blessings. I just came to speak because I brought my children here. You know, I deal with the days, I deal with the culture, we deal with mathematics, and 4 represents culture.
Yes.
And the theme was holding upon the culture.
That's right.
And as Queen quit, our relationship grew last year because she, you know, I reached out to her to come to our family farm in Lee Smith, South Carolina. The reason why I acknowledge her presence because my wife can know I come from South Carolina, Kane Street, South Carolina, Williamsburg County. Up in that area, up in that region, it's predominantly Gullah Geechee.
Yeah.
It's predominantly black. All right, and we have a lot of land ownership.
Yeah.
Like on my father's side, that's the land ownership that's been passed down to myself and my family. And even on my father's paternal side, his mother's side, they have land ownership as well. Like we have certain acres with lanes and salters and areas like that we earn over 100 acres, black owned. Now, the reason why I say Queen Quet is important because in that area, we never really embraced who we are. Like when we all are born and we just have a dialect, you know, it's not as deep as those in Charleston, or it may not be as deep as hers in St. Helens Island, but we got a dialect. So it's like, even if we cross over to like Lake City, they talk different. We go right to Manning, they talk different. We go right there to Turbyville, they talk different. But Williamsburg County on down, we talk a whole lot different. We just never know why. Because if I go to North Carolina, New York, Chicago, the first thing like, well, you a Geechee boy? And I know I am because I've been hearing it my whole life. But I never knew what it meant until this sister dedicated her life to showing me in my generation what it means to be Gullah Geechee. Now, what does it mean to be Gullah Geechee? It doesn't just come with, you know, skin color and being an African descent. It comes with a mind state of liberation, freedom, and self-sufficiency. So with her coming to Williamsburg County and explaining the 1526 uprising and showed us the power, it gave me the same energy to go around and ask her, because what Queen Quet is to me is Queen Mother, my griot. Because that's the African tradition. Right. Even though she's scholar and she's in tune with education, just as we all should be, and she's very literate, her word of mouth is what I've seen. I was seeing social media before I read a book. I was hearing her speeches before I read a book. So she kept the culture alive verbally, and I was able to soak it up and take pride in it. So she was agreeable to me. So when she came and told me the history of 1526 and it being that close, and King Street, Williamsburg County, lies on Black River. After that, I'm a scholar too, so I'm just like Dr. Fordham here. Once I did that, if you look at different articles, it'll try to say that the river was Cape Fear, but then you look at the longitude and latitude and the coordinates of it, it paces it at Wynyard Bay, which is called Georgetown, which is now today Georgetown. And the only river that actually outlets to the Atlantic through Georgetown is Black River that comes through Lee County and is a hub in Williamsburg County. Therefore, the facts and the artifacts already showed me exactly who I was. Now, the land ownership that comes with people from Williamsburg County, that has a part to play in it, because close to Neesmith, if you go on the other side, it's a little area called Indian Town. They don't understand how we have all integrated with those in Indian Town. Now, on my mother's side, my paternal side, she's actually from upstate South Carolina, Newberry, where I actually have land passed down to us as well. Acreage of land as well. Now, in that area, they respected my father because he came up with a dark skin tone, and they said, "Oh, you ain't nothing but old Geechee boy. But my father thought he was an insult, like we all do. But they was telling my mother, respect him because he's a Geechee, he got land ownership. He understands who he is. And you can put your land with their land, and we can come together and we can have a whole dynasty." So it was the same merger of a native, because my family up in upstate South in Newberry, the Traps and all that have their blood ties to the Native American and Cherokee Indians of that area. So my grandmother's side is Native American, but I was looking that up through genealogy in the 1850s after the Civil War, and like the Trail of Tears, they did like the consensus. And the first census that came out, my great-grandmother was a mulatto Native American, white man who's a native. The next one came out, they called her mulatto negro, meaning they just try to wipe her out and take her Native American ancestry. And any land ownership that comes with the Native American side, my family up in that side still have to fight for it, because we have to claim it. Because the census tried to, like the Sister Maya Angelou say, write us out in history with your bitter, twisted lies. So, from my perspective of this spectrum of being Gullah Geechee, I just want the great elders to know and the Queen Mother to know that your work is not in vain. I sat there in the past year, in April, I lost my grandfather. I'm honorably named David Harmon Williams. I rightfully go by King Divine Allah based on my knowledge and upbringing, but I am honorably named, and I say it honorably proudly because I'm named after my grandfather David Williams and my other grandfather Jesse Harmon Williams from Newberry, South Carolina. Both of those, man, my grandfather in Newberry only had a 5th grade education, but he sent 9 out of 10 children to Benedict College, all on full rides, all on scholarships, all academically. And the 10th one actually graduated her school cum laude valedictorian, but just decided not to go to college because my grandmother's town was older, so she just wanted to stay home and be a caretaker. But she has a lot of land out there to look over, so it's not like, that's the thing about it, it's not like you're losing out when you don't work for the buckler. You know? It's not like you got your own land.
That's right.
That's the whole point. So my grandfather's side, like I said, my mother's side, they have land up there that we working with, but back to my grandfather, on this side, I was his caretaker, his pastor. He passed away, and I was his caretaker, and I was with him the whole time as he deteriorated. It's like watching your hero deteriorate, and I watched him every day. We talked about days, we went through the farm, we went through everything, and one thing I want to say is, for my children, my baby girl, my wife have a picture of them in the grape fields and in the picking field.
That's right.
So, for my children, what I want them to understand is the land is for them. My grandfather always told me, it's yours out there. But when we go out there, my older baby can tell you, boy, it's work. And when I was with my granddaddy as a young child, I used to be like, granddaddy, it's work. He look at me, he taking me home in the truck, and he looking to the side like, boy, it's work, right? Hard work. I be like, granddad, it's slaving. He's like, yeah, it is slaving. But guess what? It ain't really slaving when you working for yourself. It's called sweat equity investment.
That's right.
So if you got land ownership,
Come on.
you gotta put the work in.
Yes.
Land ain't just gonna be there,
Right.
and vegetables ain't gonna
Right.
grow.
Just grow.
You just gotta put that work in.
Yes.
So the slaving and the work ethic of it was actually a motivation to keep going, because I realized I slave, but I slave because I'm the master.
You're the master.
I ain't got no problem with that. I ain't got no problem slaving for myself. Granddaddy told me that he who slaves for himself actually lives like a king.
Come on,
Hey.
King Divine.
We actually buried
Live like a queen too.
King David the First. We buried him in April, and I saw his last looks. Matter of fact, the last hours I can go over and I can be very open with you guys because I've already grieved and kind of hid. So the last couple days, my wife can attest. The first, he was already bed rest at the time, and I looked at my grandfather. And the story of me getting my name goes like this, and I spread this to you because I'm amongst family, but the story of my name was, he came home, and everybody was like, David, 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 David. He's like, why everybody calling my name? And they were like, well, we ain't calling your name, we calling the baby name David. He like, the baby name David? Why the baby name David? So he went to my mom and was like, why you name the baby after me? Because my mom said to him, well, if he be half as good of a man as you are, I'll be proud of you.
Wow.
So that's how I got my name. But I say that story to say, 3 days before he passed away, I looked my granddad in the eye, and I said, Granddad, I know the whole time they were telling me I was going to grow up and be half as good as you and you be proud. But I said, Granddad, my goal is to be better than you, because that's what you instilled into me. And I just want to live out his duty. So the last couple hours, I want to say about 3 in the morning, I showed the video of Queen Quet coming to the farm. That's his last documented way of speaking on video.
Wow.
That's archived in my life forever. That's archived in my family's life forever. But that's basically our last conversation. Me showing him the video and the farm and what he's done and how his name and his work has been spread around. So after I tell them that, this whole time, as I'm pretty sure some of you guys may deal with loved ones in the hospice, so they say, talking through it, telling things. So as this whole time, my aunt's coming in telling me, little David got it, he got the phone, don't worry about it, he got the phone.
Beautiful.
But the last hour was me and him. And I looked at him and I was like, Granddaddy, and I didn't want to lose him. My aunts was talking that stuff, but I was like, man, Granddaddy, listen, if you gotta go, man, this is really that painful, I promise you I got it. 30 minutes later, he opened his eyes, looked me dead in my eyes, and ain't say nothing. Looked around, closed his eyes. And at that point, my aunt walked in and asked me, was he dead? And I was like, no ma'am. He just opened his eyes, looked at me, he not dead. But she took his pulse and his heart died. And my other aunt came in there and said, she just looked at you. And I was at the time emotional, like, yeah, he just looked at me, he can't be dead. She just looked at you and he saw you was there, he was at peace. And he was at peace, and that let me know that I have a duty.
Yes.
And my duty is to uphold his name and uphold his legacy and to keep this Gullah Geechee heritage going forward, because we always took pride in that. So when the queen came up to the farm and ordained it, it was nothing but, divine intervention. It was nothing but being in synchronicity, divine synchronicity. So right now, my purpose is to show you that we have people, younger generation, that's still willing to uphold this.
Yes.
This is not the burden that's carried just on your behalf, not on Queen Quest's behalf, not on Dr. Foreman's behalf. I brought myself because I'm in an active battlefield, and I brought my children because they are learning to take the future, because the world is dead. It's our culture to uphold, our culture to keep, and it's our culture to embrace. And that's why I'm here, and that's why I do everything I do to back my sister and Queen Mother up and her endeavors for validating what it means to be Gullah Geechee and holding upon the culture. Peace and blessings.
That's a warrior there. That's a warrior. We got those. They're not all gone. They're not gone. Thank God. They're not gone. And I just want y'all to know now, that was last year. It coming up again this year. Labor Day weekend. They got the celebration at the vineyard right there in B. Smith. Williamsburg and Farm, Labor Day weekend, on the chillin' beat me there, cause you want to meet me there. I coming up there to pick my bull grape, y'all call them bullet grape, y'all call them all kinds of muscadines, and all that kind of thing like that. I coming up there to get mine, so Hunter Chillin', make sure you're ready for join, we right there. But definitely a blessing, so Hunter Chillin', Yeti, I'm from the source, from the Chillin'. Why I say, where the children must know what? Y'all don't forget that quick.
We must
You
teach.
must
We
teach
must
that.
teach.
So the young man said he been doing his lessons, and that's what's about 360 degrees of knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
For real.
Cypher.
Regina, Sister Regina.
Yes.
How about that? That was a real education. So young folks, listen. Like everybody should listen.
Yes.
That was a great teaching. You don't get that in school.
That's right.
Live, great people here. But what we want to do now, we want to make an award. So Queen Crabbe, step over here for a moment, please. Don't get hurt. Hey.
I'm just moved by the young brother.
Yes.
Yes. Because this is what it's about. Y'all, this is what it's about. Leaving that legacy, and I just thank God for today and for Queen being here, because just everything that they've installed to me for the Gullah Geechee Nation. And my kids are here, and table number 3 over there, so I'm glad that they're here to hear all of this.
It keeps putting when you step
Yeah.
forward, it might stay in there.
Okay, this the lane, yes. Okay. Well, presentation. We have a new library that we're gonna put here in the facility up front for the community, and we're dedicating it to you, Queen.
Whoa, I
Brother, fifth quarter.
It will have. It's going to be in the room up front, so it's going to be a library dedicated to Queen. So this is just temporary, because we're going to put this with your name and everything in the library, name after you. And it's going to be here at Scott Strand for the community, tourists.
Whoa.
You can continue to put as many books that you can, and anybody else from the Gullah Geechee Nation. We want to make sure the books are here, because we had a lot of young people and seniors in the community that come here for lunch or entertainment, and we want them to check out the books. When they check out the books for the young people, we're having events for them, and they can do a presentation of the book. Mr. Blues came up with the idea of having the young people come up and tell the presentation, so we know that they read these books. And the ones that are shy, he said they can write it in, and he'll read them, and we'll give them an award for doing that every time. They like money, y'all, so we give them gift cards to go to Tanger or Walmart or something.
Need to send them to Gullah Geechee store.
Send it back to the Gullah
There's
Geechee
Gullah
store.
Roots, you need to get
Yes.
a gift card there.
Oh yeah, Gullah Root store down the street, y'all.
Yeah.
Yes.
And to the bookstore.
Yes. Yes.
Gullah Geechee business,
We
exactly.
want to continue to pass it on, y'all. So thank you, Queen, for everything you do. Thank you for accepting our invitation. Thank y'all for coming.
Dr. O. There's another scholar. He's going to tell you his story and some things that he's doing here in Charleston. Here you are, sir. Peace.
Peace.
I think it's working. Yes, it's working. It's working. Peace, King David. Yeah, it's such a pleasure and an honor to see a young brother such as King David. And I know this is 7, and I was a 5%er some time ago.
Crowns.
That was my first lesson.
Cypher.
Who was the original man? The maker, the owner, father of civilization, God of the universe, then and now. Yeah, my first lesson, 12 years old. I used to be on 127th Street with the Father, seeking knowledge. I left Charleston when I was 7 years old to go to New York, because that's where my mother went. And When I got to New York, I talked that Gullah thing.
Come on.
And they used to call me a Geechee boy.
Eddie.
And they thought they could beat me up. I put a Geechee ass whipping on them. They started calling me that crazy Geechee boy. But I had 7 brothers and sisters.
There you go.
And this crazy Geechee boy beat them up, and his brothers and sisters didn't have no problem with none of them people. So, keep up what you're doing, brother. Raise your family. Honor your ancestors. Work your land. King David said, Brother Fordham said what Marcus Garvey said. A people who once did great things, do them again.
Come on. Say it again.
A people who once did great things can do them again.
Come on.
I want y'all to say that. Let's say it. A people who once did great things can do it again. A people who once did great things can do it again. One more time. A people who once did great things can do it again.
Up, you mighty race.
Up, you mighty race. Up, you mighty race. We built this country, y'all.
Come on.
That's right. That's right.
They brought us here because they understood who we were.
Yeah.
The makers, the owners, the cream of the planet Earth.
Come on now.
The father of civilization.
Yes.
The God of the universe. They knew that about us. And they came to get us. And we did what we did. But don't get caught up in the lie. They don't own this. The earth is the Lord's
The fullness thereof.
and the fullness thereof. My brother Octavius, he says, who they building it for, Octavius?
The wealth of the wicked is stored up for the righteous.
Come on,
The wealth of the wicked is stored up for the righteous. And who the righteous?
We
are.
That's right.
Keep building it for me.
Keep building it for me.
Me too.
Because you know when the storm comes,
Come on now.
we do this.
And it.
We do
We
this.
pray and we stay.
We don't
We stay. We know God's plan is God's plan.
Yes. Yes.
Stay strong, people.
We'll do it.
Don't lose courage, people.
Well, so.
And don't buy the hype.
That's right. Don't believe the hype.
Don't believe the hype. Teach your children to read.
Yes.
Turn off the television.
Please, yeah.
Shut down the computer.
Come on.
Teach your children to read.
Get the phone out your hand.
Libraries are free, you know.
Come on.
They've been free a long time. Long time.
Some people paid for them with their blood, sweat, and tears, though,
That's right.
so we could read.
That's right. So, be encouraged.
Yes.
I don't have much more to say. The work is being done.
Yes.
Pay attention.
That's right. Pay attention.
Pay attention. And most importantly, be willing to get your hands dirty.
Come on.
Amen.
We be Gullah, Geechee,
Anointed.
anointed people. Let's say that. We be Gullah, Geechee, anointed people. We be Gullah, Geechee, anointed people. We be Gullah, Geechee, anointed people. So, what was it, about 30 years ago? 30 years ago, we assembled ourselves.
Yes.
30 years ago, these people here, Brother Black,
Yeah.
Brother Black,
Right. Yeah. Right there. Lisa. And Elton.
Lisa,
Right here.
right here. 30 years ago, we went to Sullivan Island,
Yes.
on the beach of Sullivan Island,
Started off there.
and Queen Quint came out in some chains.
2000, 7 and 2000. Yes, sir.
Came out in some chains, dragging them,
Yeah, chained up.
chained up. How do I know that?
Come on, it had to be.
I was there.
Right,
I witnessed.
on the business.
I was been there. And she threw those chains off.
Yes, spirit threw them off. I ain't even. Spirit took them.
And Queen Brett was born
Yes, sir.
in that moment.
Yes, sir.
And she's been doing the work ever since.
Yes.
I can say it because I was there.
That's right, he was.
And we had to work. I told Elder Colley, I said, Elder Colley, I'm leaving town. I'm going to school to get a PhD so I can come back and do this work.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yes.
I got to do it, Elder.
Yes.
And I did it. And I came back home
Sure did.
to serve my people.
Yeah.
This work ain't easy, y'all.
I think so if you want.
It takes all of you
Annie.
and everything that you got. Because we be Gullah, Geechee, anointed people. We one people.
One. One nation.
One nation.
Yes.
So, I love y'all people. Love each other.
Yes.
Love each other. And let's get this work done.
That's it. Yes.
Everybody don't love us.
Say him again.
Everybody don't love us.
We better love us.
We gotta love us. Deeply love us.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Ashe.
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 All right, we have one more speaker, and she goes by the name of Collie Towns, or Sister Collie Towns. Let's get a few words from her. Yeah. I haven't seen y'all so long. We got the titles. I got new titles. There we go.
Thank you, Mr. Blues. How to do?
How to do it?
I am so full I could just drop the mic.
Okay, then that's what you do.
Everybody said what I was thinking. Number one, I want to thank Queen Quet, because when we started this, I didn't know I was going to make it. But because of your encouragement, because of your teaching, I'm here. I will be here until I'm no longer here. And when I'm no longer here, my spirit will be here.
Thank God for you.
I want to thank Lisa, who has actually been one of my best friends. And she has also been with us through the nation, through all the things that we've been through.
Yes, yes.
I want to thank Regina, because she has actually worked hard to get this place where it is. And before I go any further, and before anybody leave, I want to say one thing. I want you all to know this. Yenna children wonder about what Yenna secret be. Yenna rich with the Gullah Geechee. If people think Yenna lie about the one Yenna be, then crack your teeth by Yenna history. Yenna Gullah Geechee anointed people. And I want you all to know I love y'all. I'm not going to talk long. I'm going to move on out, let somebody else talk. But I appreciate everybody in here. Dr. O, you know I love you. And all my sisters and brothers in here that I've worked with over the years. Keep going. Keep doing what you got to do. We talked about land. And I'm in a situation right now where I'm trying to hold on to the land that my aunt died and left. She said, Carly, please, don't let them sell. But I got some people come and say, hey, when we going to get rid of this? I said, you know what? We're not going to get rid of this, because what I'm going to do, if I have to go to China to get the money to keep the house, I will. So I want everybody in here to know, let us hold on to the land. It is our blood, sweat, and tears of our ancestors. They are here with us. We are them. Please keep the land.
Yes.
I thank you so much. I want to thank Mama here. I went many nights to Buford, and she put me in her bed like I was her child. she said, come on in here, Carly. And she'll tell me, what do you want for breakfast? I mean, I felt that I was with family. I felt that I was with family. I felt that I am with family. I thank you. I thank you. I thank you. I love you. I love you. Thank you very much.
Look at this here. See how the children don't know about this here. Y'all see this here right here? See, we be Gullah Geechee anointed people. Now how the children get the tree in the grass? You see that right there? Now who else want to do something like this shit? Look at that. Ain't that a bless up thing? And then look who gave them to me. Look who gave them to me. This one right here. This we want it all this Minister information. Ella Carly come and hide them in a bank bag. He had them in a bank bag on the children. And then he said, Queen, I got something for you. And he threw this here out the bag, children. Y'all see this now, that bless up. I know y'all say, oh, Queen, I want that same thing. Why y'all always want to keep my thing? Why y'all always want to keep my thing? The Queen got to be all always want. And they like, don't worry, it coming soon. Yes. It gonna have these y'all to help bless up. We Gullah Geechee Angel Network. Y'all see the tree? The tree got branch the thing for the angel land for top of. Alright? So it ain't no lily thing. But I have a hey shiny thing for gonna get this up for carry home, you see? And so and it'll I know I ain't getting that. You ain't get this one. No. I get the first one. Take it. You're welcome. I love you. Love you too. It's a blessing. And y'all see, that's the legacy right here. We know who we be. Yes. We be Gullah Geechee anointed people. God bless Hunter and all the family. We couldn't have no greater way for end Gullah Geechee Nation Appreciation Week. And y'all hear the song in the background? They can talk about us. But I don't care. Y'all know that, because we up in here. Gullah Geechee for truth. You know how we do. We be Gullah Geechee anointed people. God bless you.